Charter review, the options before us. Once we decided that our present form of government didn't allow for meeting the standards of our vision for Wareham, we set out to learn the range of other options before us. We learned that within the standard structure of town governments, we could change the number of selectmen on our board. We could change from having a part-time board to having a full-time one. We could change from an open town meeting where everyone has one vote to a representative town meeting. Each precinct, depending on size, could elect up to 12 individuals to represent us. We could keep or do away with the town administrator, with any of the above. Because Wareham's population is greater than 12,000, we reached this number in the early 1970s. Our town is also allowed to use what is called a city form of government. We could have an elected council as our legislative branch and either a town manager or mayor as our executive branch. Before we did our research into the pros and cons of each variation, we stated our leanings. 2 of us were in favor of full-time selectmen and open meeting. 1 in favor of representative town meeting, and 5 favored a town council as the legislative body. As we explored the pros and cons, there were 4 underlying questions. 1. Which form would give representation to the most people? 2. Which form would make the 2 branches most answerable to the town as a whole? 3. Which form would be best able to address issues in a timely way? 4. Which form provided best for checks and balance against an imbalance of power? Let's now consider some of the options. If we moved to a full-time board of 3 or 5, we could do away with the executive, T.A., whom we had not elected, and was not answerable to us, and although we'd have 3 or 5 salaries instead of 1, our executive branch would have time and energy to deal with whatever came up. But we would still have a town meeting form of government, and, though we could move to a representational town meeting, electing fellow citizens to work for our interests, and be answerable to us through the ballot, if they either didn't show up for meetings, or pursued legislation we deemed improper, they would still be meeting only once or twice a year. Problems and crises would continue to be on hold, preventing the board from full effectiveness. The executive branch carries out the rules, or bylaws, or ordinances, it does not make them. Well then, we could elect a town council, and these paid councillors would be meeting twice a month allowing for addressing issues in a timely way. Some of the councillors would be at large, but the majority, by law, would represent just 1 precinct. They would be answerable to us. They could elect, from their own group, a mayor, or they could appoint a town manager, whose experience and qualifications they'd assure. But that would give us a chief executive whom we did not elect. We could elect councillors, and we could elect a mayor. Let's take a moment to check our 4 underlying questions. 1 and 2. In the potentially most direct representational system, we each get a vote at town meeting, but in Wareham, with our very small attendance, we actually get under 2% representation. We would have greater legislative representation, 16%, if we elected either town meeting representatives or town councillors. Doing it, and voting for either selectman or a mayor, rather than allowing for any appointed executive, would give us the most representative form of government, and one that either responds to citizen needs, or gets voted out. 3. Only with the town council does the legislative arm meet throughout the year on a regular basis, allowing for timely and efficient addressing of town issues. 4. The form of government that allows for the careful crafting of checks and balances within a charter is that form of government in which both the executive and legislative arms are elected by the citizens. With these understandings and the options open to us, and in keeping with our vision, the majority opted for the advantages of an elected legislative body, and an elected executive, in effect eliminating town meeting, selectmen, and appointed town manager. 1 member dissented, continuing to opt for 3 full-time selectmen, and, therefore, a town meeting. We had, thus, chosen the form of government with a town council and a mayor. A town council, a legislature of 11, 6 members elected from their precincts, to which they can provide constituent services, and 5 elected at large, meeting regularly, can establish in an orderly manner, laws, ordinances, regulations, while the leadership of an elected executive, the mayor, takes care that the laws be faithfully executed. Now, we had to address the task of tailoring the choice to best fit Wareham. Next week, we'll present the outline of our recommendation as it presently stands, and let you know how you can learn more, express your reactions, and make suggestions. Our vision: to establish in Wareham an efficient government of elected officials, with checks and balances, that is both responsible and responsive to the people of Wareham.